is going on, my family? Your boy Demetrius is back with another classic Tekken 8 episode here. Here we are going to talk about a list of buts and excuses. And we all know, by playing for such a long time, Tekken is the fighting game full of excuses and full of buts. And here you see is a chart of excuses and buts that a lot of people have used and will continue to use when it comes to Tekken 8 or any Tekken game at that matter. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of excuses and a lot of buts here, and I just kind of felt like this was kind of interesting because, like I said, we have all went through this where we have come across people that have made some excuses, and a lot of the excuses that y'all see on here, we are probably going to see again when it comes to Tekken 8. No shadow of a doubt, because shit, it's Tekken, you know, one of the best fighting games in the world. You're gonna have the most excuses. Y'all feel what I'm saying? So here in this video, we are going to talk about the number of excuses that we are going to come across. We have come across when it comes to these Tekken games. You know, I'm just going to go through these buts and excuses and basically kind of explain which ones that we will or have seen the most when it comes to these Tekken games, and which ones that we'll probably see the most when it comes to Tekken 8. So we are going to start from the top. Like I said, I'm going to go through most of them. I'm going to try to get through all of them. If I don't get through all of them, I apologize. But, you know, it's basically one of those situations where, you know, y'all can pretty much comprehend a lot of these buts and excuses because, like I said, we come across it all the time, especially online when it comes to these Tekken games. And of course, like I said, we're going to see it again in Tekken 8. I'm going to go through this chart, and there's going to be a couple of them that I can already see that we're going to see when it comes to Tekken 8. So we are going to get into it right now. Now, the thing about it is, I'm going to go straight to the third one. I'm going to start off with that one and then come backwards. I want to go straight to the third one, where this excuse basically says, I don't know the matchup. Now, here's my thing. Now, this really isn't an excuse that people are going to use, or this is not an excuse that people have used. It's actually the other way around. What do we always hear? The most obnoxious thing when it comes to Tekken games, and probably we're going to hear that when it comes to Tekken 8. Somebody will just randomly come out and say, learn the matchup. You know, that is the most annoying thing that I could ever hear when it comes to Tekken. And you know what? I done went off on a couple of people that done told me that. You feel what I'm saying? Oh, learn the matchup. And I'm just sitting up here like, if I'm talking about it, what the fuck do you think I'm doing? You feel what I'm saying? When we talk about it, we learn the fucking matchup. We're trying to learn the fucking matchup. When we talk about it to other people, that's trying to learn the matchup. I can't stand when people say that shit. So this third one here is kind of like, this is not an excuse that people use. It's the other way around. We best believe we gonna get some random motherfucker come into a conversation talking about, hey bro, learn the matchup. Y'all feel what I'm saying? It happened so much during Tekken 7's tenure. It's probably gonna happen again in Tekken 8. And like I said before, I hate when people do that, like they really know every single matchup themselves. Really, you know what? When people do shit like that, that particular person is just arrogant. If somebody comes up and be like, well, hey, know the matchup, or hey, learn the matchup, they just an arrogant motherfucker. They really are. Let's go back up. Let's back up. I haven't played since Tekken whatever, so this one is kind of like an excuse to where someone would use, be like, oh, I haven't played Tekken since Tekken 5 or Tekken 6. I've heard that excuse a couple of times, but I haven't really heard it like that. It's a very rare excuse, but it is out there. People do use that excuse. And to a certain extent, it is kind of true. And, you know, some people don't really play fighting games, you know, straight like that, like a lot of people do. So while this is an excuse that's out there, it does get used. To a certain extent, it is kind of true when it does get used. Somebody will be like, well, I haven't played since Tekken whatever. It is kind of true when someone says that. Second, I haven't been to the lab yet. You know, I mean, if somebody uses this excuse, they just don't have the dedication. Honestly, I have not heard this. I have not heard people use this excuse throughout Tekken 7. I did not hear people use this, and that's a good thing, because if people are out here using this, you playing the wrong fucking game. That's one of the first things that you should be doing when it comes to Tekken or any 3D fighting game at that matter. Going to the lab and seeing what you can do, getting comfortable. You feel what I'm saying? If people are using that excuse, you need to question what game you playing, for real. That wasn't my main. I get this excuse a lot. I see it a lot. We saw it a lot. And really, this is really just online. When people be talking that shit to you online and they text back and forth, they'll say this. And for those of y'all that have been following me for a long time, y'all already know I be exposing them fucking trolls online when they say shit like this, talking about it wasn't they main. I'll be like, yeah, it was your main. You just embarrassed that your main got wrecked. You know what I'm saying? So this excuse right here, that wasn't my main. We see it all the time, especially online. And we're gonna see it again. We're gonna see it again. That shit will get nerfed. Yeah, we see that a lot. We see that a lot. Twitter, Facebook, you know, shit, YouTube videos. People be making YouTube videos on what moves should be nerfed, what characters should be nerfed. So yeah, that's a big excuse. That is a big excuse that people will use. Like I said, people say this shit on the apps. People make content off of that excuse. For real. You feel what I'm saying? That was my first set today. I've heard this before. I've heard this a couple of times before. I don't think anyone has said this to me, but if someone had said this to me, I'd be like, man, whatever, man. You know what I'm saying? Your first set today? Well, okay. Shit, new characters are broken. Now, I have not heard this excuse. I think it's more so people say that DLC characters are broken. But as far as new characters being broken, I haven't really heard that. Maybe once or twice. I remember when Tekken 8 revealed Azuzina, you know, people were like, she may be a little bit overpowered, but it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot. So people don't really use that excuse like that. It's more like the DLC excuse. People say DLC characters are broken. I'm new. Yeah, people use that excuse. I mean, if someone says they're new, they new. You know what I'm saying? It ain't really no excuse, because you'll know that they new because of their gameplay. If their gameplay comes out scrubbish or some shit like that, it's because they probably knew. So I don't see this as an excuse here. I'm learning stick. Again, not really an excuse. People do use it. If people told me this, I would omit it. I'll be like, okay, you know, as quiet as it's kept. A good portion of the Tekken community use pad anyway. So, I mean, there's some stick users out there, but I kind of feel like the Tekken community is dominated with pad players. Me personally, you feel what I'm saying? I could be wrong, but I honestly don't think I am. I think the Tekken community is dominated by pad players. This is my day one on this character. Yeah. Big excuse that we see all the time. You know, one of the things about it, this is what I tell somebody. Shit, you know what? No mercy. You want to get good at this character that you're just trying to learn? No mercy. Not only do you need to know this character's strengths, you need to know their weaknesses also. You feel what I'm saying? So if you come across that excuse, tell that person exactly that. No mercy. Because they will not get none. You feel what I'm saying? And when you're trying to learn a new character, you shouldn't expect no mercy. You're spamming the same move. Well, yeah, that's not really an excuse. That's really kind of like what they call that shit. That's salt. That's salt right there. I guess you could say salty excuse. But yeah, that's salt right there. And a good majority of players are going to keep doing the same move until you figure that move out or until you punish them. So that's one of those situations where, you know, you better learn quick. You better catch on quick. Or, you know, some random motherfucker will come in and say, learn the matchup. So basically, those two things are kind of like they go together. Like, I don't know this matchup, and then you're spamming the same move. They kind of go together there. I would never tell somebody that. I don't care how bad they're playing. I don't care how scrubbish they're playing at the game. I would never tell them learn the matchup, because the shit's so arrogant. It's really arrogant how people say that shit. You block too much. I've heard that sparingly, but I wouldn't pay no attention to that. Free, yeah, we hear that all the time. That's every fighting game. That's every single fighting game. People will use that excuse. Or that's like, I guess you could say that's an insult. Like when somebody say you free, that's an insult. And we hear it all the time. That's a fighting game thing right there. Heat is a bullshit mechanic. Now, yeah, during the CNT and the CBT, we heard this shit a lot, which was kind of expected because it's so new. I voiced my opinion when it came to the Heat system when the CBT was out. But now that the game is coming out, we should not hear this excuse as much. So I don't expect this excuse to be used in the future. But like I said, when we were first able to get our hands on Tekken 8, like the CNT or the CBT, yeah, this excuse was used a lot, rightfully so. But they have changed it over the course of months. I think it's more to our liking. I think it's more like, you know, we're more comfortable with it. We're more comfortable with it. But yeah, this excuse was used a lot. It was used a lot, especially during around the CNT. Wild posts what they said on Twitter. Now, at first, when I saw this, it didn't make no sense. But then I was like, oh, okay, you know, if someone loses in a tournament or loses in a 1st to 10, you know, they take to Twitter with a salty excuse. So I understand that. And yeah, that's common. As a matter of fact, I love it when that shit happens. Y'all already know why I love it when that shit happens. I don't even have to explain to y'all when somebody do that shit. So I agree with that 100%. You know, that is the biggest excuse that gets used. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to Tekken. And I know for a fact in Tekken 8, a lot of motherfuckers gonna be doing that. A lot of motherfuckers gonna be doing it. Next one. I just woke up. Very rare excuse, although I have used this excuse before. I am guilty of using that excuse, but it's very rare. There was one time, there was a situation that I was in a 1st to 10. I woke up late, I got to it late, and you know, it kind of messed up my rhythm, even though it didn't matter because the person that I was in the 1st to 10 with, he backed out any fucking way. So you feel what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I used this excuse before, but it is what it is. You only use S tier. Yeah, we hear this excuse a lot. Particularly, we hear this excuse kind of like when someone does a video and they're doing some type of explanation tutorial video, pretty much like the pro players. This is kind of like a pro player excuse. Y'all feel what I'm saying? Next one, I haven't played since last year. I can't say that I've heard this consistently, maybe once or twice, but this excuse, I haven't really heard it. So yeah, I didn't set my buttons. That right there, that's an event excuse. That's an offline excuse right there. That's one of the things that you always should do, because like when I go offline, go to the event, that's one of the first things I do. I go right to the button set and make sure my buttons is right, because you know, depending on what fighting game I play, whether it's Tekken 8 or whatever, you know, I have my buttons a certain type of way. So you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I didn't set my buttons. That's more offline. That's an offline excuse right there. You're lagging. Oh, you know, this is probably the #1 excuse. This is the #1 excuse in Tekken. This is the #1 excuse in the FGC right here. You feel what I'm saying? So we can already stamp it. This is #1. We all see it. Each and every one of us sees that excuse, and we're gonna see it. We damn near see it every time we boot up a console. You feel what I'm saying? You're a masher. That's another excuse that we always see. We're gonna see it again, and it is what it is, because we see it. It's damn near, it's a part of the fucking Tekken culture. It's a part of the FGC culture when people use that excuse. So I picked the wrong side. Now this is a terrible excuse, because now they're making fighting games. It really don't even matter what side you pick. And then when you're fighting online, that opponent can pick player 1, so not really gonna matter. So this excuse right here, I don't think people too much use that. I guess you could say it could be like an offline excuse. People will say that offline, but I doubt it. It'd be rare. I would have one with, yeah, see this excuse a lot. Very, very popular excuse. Somebody will have this character and then they'll turn around and be like, yeah, I would have beat you with this character or whatever. Yeah, very popular excuse. Of course, we're gonna get that shit again. You feel what I'm saying? That character is cheap. Yeah, big excuse. Once again, that's just part of the game. That's one of those type of excuses. That's part of the game. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have your cheap characters. You're gonna have your cheap characters, and then you're gonna have your people that use the cheap characters that are gonna exploit everything cheap that they have. So yeah, another common and iconic excuse. That excuse is very iconic. In some cases, it's true. You know what I'm saying? It really is. My hands are frozen. Yeah, I've seen this excuse before. I have never used this as an excuse, but I know it happens. So if people do use this excuse, it's one of those, offline excuse, depending on, like if you go to Frosty Frostings and shit like that, yeah, that could be a big excuse. But other than that, I don't really see this, but it is what it is. So that is the chart right there. The chart of butts and excuses that we see in Tekken and that we're going to see in Tekken 8, no doubt. Like I said, pretty much the one where it says you're lagging, that's probably the first one we're gonna see. Like the first couple of hours that we play the game online, we're gonna get that. Y'all feel what I'm saying? So that's gonna be the number one right there, the lag excuse. There was a couple of others like character is cheap and shit like that. You're a masher. So some of them pretty much self-explanatory, but yeah, this is the chart of excuses right here. And like I said, at least 5 or 6 of them guaranteed that we'll see it when we play Tekken 8, whether we play online or offline. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section below about the Tekken 8 butts and excuses chart. Put y'all thoughts and y'all feelings in the comment section and we can get a conversation started. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to your boy for the hottest Tekken 8 action on the internet, period. And as I keep on saying, ain't nobody doing it like I'm doing it when it comes to this Tekken shit, and that is facts. Depending on where you are, Tekken 8 is 24 hours away. I know a lot of us can't wait. We're getting ready for the next battle, and I hope everybody has fun with the game and restart a new journey. My name is Demetrius, aka C Money. I will get back at you in the next video. God bless, stay safe. I am out. Peace.